Hello everyone and welcome to some Star Ladder action. We've got an early morning, afternoon, whatever time zone you're on, game going on. And once again, I'm going to be Llama Down Under, joined by Scant. We have Team Liquid versus CIS Rejects. How you doing, Scant?
I'm doing alright, so it's kind of morning, afternoon for me. I only woke up an hour or two ago. I actually cast CIS Rejects last night, and I think we cast Liquid together on the weekend. So, seen both of these teams recently. They both kind of traded some games against their opponents in their recent series, so not clean wins or losses. I do think when it comes to CIS Rejects that, at least from yesterday's series, it's gonna be a lot about Iceberg, because yesterday they played against Vega Squadron. Iceberg had a great game 1 and they won it, and then he had a pretty poor game 2 and 3 and they lost those two. In fact, they got obliterated in game 3 of that series. So I'm gonna be looking out to see what his performance is like in the mid lane, because I think that's actually maybe quite determinative of the performance of this team.
I really agree. In previous matches where I'd seen CIS Rejects, albeit I've costed them a lot right when they formed, and then a bit for Star Ladder. Right after they formed, it was basically if you managed to shut down Iceberg, you could win the game. But a lot of people were having trouble because he's a very dominant mid laner, although he sometimes overextends. He'd gotten a bit better, as I saw it, about overextending. But as you said, still, if you gank him a lot of their team performance seems to hinge on him. But we're going to be seeing an IO Tusk Lina ban. Lina not often a first round ban. Pretty sure that's targeted towards Iceberg.
Yeah, it is. I think that's probably his best hero.
Okay, and this is my first game in, I think, a week where I've had Doom make it through. So, as I think we're both expecting, if you leave Doom, Slaughter, Shadow Fiend in the pool, they get picked up. I imagine Dazzle or Wyvern next.
Yeah, actually CIS Rejects gave away Doom in game 3 yesterday to Vega Squadron as well, and there they got Slaughter and Tusk as the trade. Of course, that's the game where they got destroyed. I mean, they lost in like 15 minutes and it was a massive stomp, but it seems like something they're trying out at the moment. Give the enemy team Doom, as long as we can get 2 of our big heroes, and certainly Slaughter and Shadowfiend. I think for a lot of teams, these are like the 3 top tier picks at the moment, so getting 2 for 1, usually a good deal, I would say.
Oh yeah, I think you have to be so happy about getting Slaughter Shadow Fiend because of that minus armor. It just makes your game so much easier. While Doom is really scary, he doesn't come built in with a lot of armor, and depending on how the game goes, I mean, it's a Radiant Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend can potentially go to wherever the Doom is, hit him a few times, he's gonna melt. It's a bit ridiculous. But we're gonna be seeing Lich banned out by Team Liquid. I'm a little surprised. I felt like they were the ones who could potentially have picked that up, since they're facing the minus armor strat. But
Team Liquid's turn to ban.
Getting rid of
it. I mean, the Lich and the Dazzle actually both fit them in terms of like boosting their armor. But I think what they're concerned about here is CIS Rejects reinforcing their own lane stage. Because they've got that Radiant Shadow Fiend, the Radiant Jungle, Slaughter's a really strong offlaner. I think Liquid are just a bit worried about CIS Rejects having a bit too strong of a lane stage. And speaking of that, they do pick up the Bane Elemental, which, I mean, if you actually just look at this draft so far, it looks like it's quite... you could almost interpret it as being completely focused on winning the lane stage.
Yeah, it's also just really strong drafts from both teams. Because we've had heroes banned out, maybe like the Lich, like the Viper, it does lead us into things, I'm really surprised to see that one team managed to get the Doom Gyrocopter Wyvern combo and the other has Slaughter Shadowfiend Bane. Not what I was expecting to see this morning.
I mean, it's also the start of the draft of the Wisp and the Lina, right? They both targeted bans, and so you end up with some of the major heroes that usually don't get through the first ban phase getting through. And it's definitely going to make for an interesting matchup, because I mean, the teams are just as unused to this as we are, I think. I think that one of the sort of consequences of there being heroes that are standardly banned out is that even when teams practice against each other, they're not used to playing with so many of those top heroes in the same game. So it's going to add an interesting dynamic to this game, seeing like all the big characters at once.
Yeah, and as you said, okay, so this is one of my... I really love the AA. I also, obviously, it's a great counter to the Scorched Earth from Doom and the Cold Embrace that could come out. But AA, I hesitate to phrase this right. He's not necessarily a weak laner, but he needs someone else to help him make the Cold Feet proc. And it is something where, with the changes to Cold Feet, where it's gotten, you can cast it from further away, we are seeing a lot more people maxing that over that Chilling Touch. So I'm really interested to see what build they'll go here, because
5 seconds.
If the AA is laning with the slaughter, which I very much doubt, because it's probably an offlane slaughter, we might see more points. You know,
Reserve
Cold Feet,
time.
you have an easy way to set it up, but with just Nightmare on Bane, I guess you can Cold Feet then Nightmare.
Yeah, I think that they wake up after the next
Yeah.
proc though, so it's not really that effective. I think that it doesn't need to be that cold feet focused though, even though that is kind of the flavor of the month. I think that just having that early point and chilling touch, what the AA pick does here, other than countering the Doom and the Wyvern in terms of the heal, it also provides a kind of deterrent effect of you're not going to run an aggressive lane against us, because even if you don't have that cold feet combination, Bane's a really strong support hero, AA's chilling touch early on is dominant, and they're going to have an extra core, and so I think CIS rejects send a message to Liquid saying, you know, back off, you farm your safe lane, we'll farm our safe lane. That's what I expect to happen after the AA pick.
And it's going to be really interesting because CIS rejects have an opportunity here to pick someone. It could be the Jug. They've got a lot of options, although the Jug might be our next ban. I feel like Gyrocopter, while he's certainly a strong carry, there are people who just out-carry him due to the nature that flat cannons are only 6 shots every 30 seconds. And if it does end up going late, as you said, or if it does become kind of a for doing stuff around the 1, it's going to be interesting to see how the Gyrocopter stacks up.
10
Yeah,
seconds.
definitely.
remaining.
Wow, okay, Razor pick up, and
Radiant
this is...
team ban.
Did we see them pick a Razor in the previous series on the week? I think we did.
Yeah, we saw a Photo Razor, but it didn't win. At least in one of the games, it lost. I feel like they actually may have picked it twice. So,
Yeah,
because this
so
was,
it
we're
is-
talking about Liquid
10
versus
seconds
Alternate,
remaining.
I believe, is the game
Yeah.
we're talking about. So, they lost
5
once
seconds
to
remaining.
the Invoker from Supreme with that Razor, where the Razor
Reserve time.
did do quite a bit of damage throughout the game, but just underwhelming when it came to teamfight performance.
I think that they also won with the Razor, because I'm pretty sure
Yeah, I think it was 1-1. Like, one game was down, and then they won one where the Invoker was banned, but I'm not so sure. I feel like
and
there
they
was
definitely
also
also
a
won
Viper.
with the Gyro.
Yeah. So, either way,
Liquid
folks,
in their comfort zone.
yeah, we're talking... Oh, yeah, not only is Liquid in their comfort zones, I feel like this is a very... I mean, I feel like this is a hero where you go, oh yeah, this is a fodder hero. Albeit you kind of say that for a lot of mid-heroes, but Razor's definitely one I
Team
remember his
Liquid's turn
performances.
to
CIS
ban.
rejects go for the ban out on Brood. Obvious, I think that's a great choice. They don't really have a good way to deal with her in lane early on.
Do we know, out of interest, why did the teams request to play at this time?
10
Like,
seconds.
it's quite
Um,
unusual.
I have no idea. I know that they self-schedule. I think to me
5
this just
seconds
indicates that
remaining.
none of them were busy today. I don't actually know if all of these folks are Dota full-time.
Radiant team.
Because
pick.
the CIS rejects played a match last night. That's the one I was casting, and I was just thinking it's actually kind of uncommon for a team to want to play in the evening and then the following morning.
There are 4
so
series today. It might also be Star Ladder. They need to get stuff done because their land finals is, I believe, at the end of this year, but I could be wrong. It could be the beginning of next year. And it's something where there are... I was surprised too today to find out there are 4 series. Because usually 3 is kind of our max
10 seconds
in one day.
remaining.
Okay, so a busy day, and things could have a knock-on effect in terms of
5
scheduling. But
seconds remaining.
Team Liquid do ban out the PL. That's the hero they don't want to see at the end, and think correctly so. They don't have that much of an answer to it.
Reserve
A lot of
time.
people think Gyrocopter's an answer to PL, but yeah,
It's not.
I mean, as you said, you've only got that flak every now and then. It's really not enough. I think actually PL's pretty good against Gyro usually.
Agreed. And yeah, I've seen that flying around a lot too.
Team
So
Liquid's
we're going to
turn
be seeing a
pick.
Wraith King. We've seen this one before. It's something where I think you have to be very careful. He has to do really well early on. He's an obvious counter to the Doom, because of course if you use the Doom on the Wraith King, he's going to come back. But at the same time, if you kill the rest of the teammates, you know, if you Doom the Wraith King and then you kill everyone else and the Wraith King respawns with no teammates around, he's dead either way. So
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the Wraith King pick here
10
because yeah,
seconds
it's
remaining.
not good to Doom him. But Doombringer already had great targets to Doom anyway in the Slaughter and the Shadow
5
Fiend.
seconds
And
remaining.
Razor's actually really good against Wraith King. If Razor gets his link off on the Wraith King early on in the fight, that basically forces
Reserve
Wraith King
time.
out of the fight. He can't stand around and have his damage drained.
5
And actually, even if
seconds
he
remaining.
dies, I believe it keeps draining during the resurrection.
on the upside, I feel for this Wraith King, he can do a few nice things against the gyrocopter. Obviously, he needs to get that farm up, but I think if your Wraith King is able to get that blink dagger, get that blade mail, you can pretty reliably kill off the gyrocopter because you blink in. If Gyro uses your spells, he kills himself on your blade mail. And because you have the blink, you're able to get up close and personal. But we're going to be seeing a Clockwork Lost pick out from Mind Control. And yeah, I think it's just a pretty solid hero. I'm interested to see how these lineups, but I have to say I'm really giving Liquid the edge right now.
Yeah, I feel like the approach for CIS rejects, I think a big part of picking a Wraith King actually is about, they know that it's going to be the Iceberg show, it's more so than usual actually than all these on the Shadow Fiend. So get Slaughter and Wraith King to be frontliners. Wraith King even
10
gives
seconds
Shadow Fiend
remaining.
that lifesteal, and then just try and like sort of create that space in the fight for Shadow Fiend to
5
dominate.
seconds remaining.
But exactly as you say, well, Clockwork can actually control Shadow Fiend reasonably well. Doom could just doom out the Shadow Fiend. We've even got a Winter Wyvern to ulti Shadow Fiend through BKB. And I do think that if Liquid managed to control the Shadow Fiend as the game goes later, their draft is a bit favorable.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if they can't, they're in trouble, right? If Shadow Fiend does just like walk around, you know, with his own swagger, like throwing raises and hits and whatever whenever he feels like.
I'm pretty sure it's meant to be the Wraith King who has the swagger. Come on, Scant, get your memes right. I believe
I'm
actually
sorry.
Wraith King's voice lines are something about swagger.
He says something like that, yeah. But come on, Shadow Fiend's the taunt. That's like Wraith King's not the one that
Okay.
does little. I don't even know what you call that.
I don't
There's
know
a
if
name
you've
for it.
I don't know if you've had the joy of casting, but some of these players will, if they're in a game, they will just spam the taunt continuously. And there was someone I was watching play. Maybe this was in the major qualifiers because I know Unknown
Was it
does
the
it.
Peruvians?
No,
Team
I know Unknown does it, but some other people do it too, where I didn't actually know what the taunt sound was. So I'm looking around the map, wondering where these symbols come from, thinking I've gone insane, maybe left a tab open in Chrome, and then finally my co-host is like, oh, it's just the Shadow Fiend taunt. But it was something like 15 minutes of me going, what is this sound? But yeah. It's always
There's
fun.
some strange sounds. There's also, I think there's some heroes that have like custom getting a rune sounds and like. I think there's like a set for, is it Kunka, when he like picks up a bounty and he says something strange, or some of these
Kunka's
things
has a
take
lot
you
of
by
weird
surprise.
things, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Kunka's voice lines are a bit interesting, so I think also, I just want to point out to people, these aren't all stand-ins. Some teams just haven't added their players to their roster. I'm not quite sure what's on about that. It's really common. It's not even a Dota bug. I think it's just something where players seem to have trouble adding people to their rosters. And I'm gonna do quick introductions. I know not everybody finds this necessary, but I think CIS Rejects is a little bit less well known on their players. So I'm just gonna quickly introduce them. I'll toss it over to you for Liquid. We've got Gold Black on the Bane. Shadow Fiend going to be played up by Iceberg. Wraith King being played by Ramsey 666, which clearly he should be on the Doom. Always want to fly on that AA, and Slaughter on Afterlife, who's already going deep.
Yeah, on the side of Liquid, Timberman on his signature Gyrocopter, Fatas on his signature Razor. We've got Jerax on Winter Wyvern, also kind of a signature Kura on the greedy 4-position Doom. And in the offlane, Mind Control's Clock actually TP'd down early to
30
get that
seconds
deep
to
ward up,
battle.
so that's going to be difficult to discover. And it's something that I think Radiant teams struggle with at the moment, because there's lots of different ways to block the spawn, so even if you bring the sentries, you don't always find the ward. And if you don't have the pool camp, that really helps the die offlane.
It's definitely a little bit luck-based right now. It's something that can be really frustrating if you're Radiant, because you just might not guess the right side, and then you're done. But we're gonna have Chilling Touch is already out. Mind Control taking huge amounts of damage. This is a First Blood. A raise to finish it off. Iceberg, you should have had faith in your team. You could have started with 12 souls.
Yeah, that's a strange attempt actually. I guess if he gets the cog off early, Wraith King can't hit him. But even then, there's a lot of ranged heroes there. Chilling Touch is just that strong early on, I want to say. So I guess, I don't know. I'm not sure why Liquid thought they could contest that rune.
They may also have not realized until it was too late how many of them are there. Of course, this ward doesn't give a good amount of vision of who's coming to visit the rune. So, gonna be going down. But we have Gold Black already headed up top. This is pretty standard, right? These days we're always seeing 2 in mid, and actually Iceberg, he's obviously going for an early bottle, but I wouldn't have been surprised to see him go something like Boots as well against a Razor.
Yeah, I sort of feel like there's gonna come a time where support players are like, okay, well, we could both go mid and harass each other and cancel each other out, but we know that's going to happen. Let's just start in our own lanes. Because it feels like a lot of the time that's what happens these days. Both supports go to try and help their mid, but their effect kind of just neutralizes one another, and it's as if neither of them was there, which all it really does is it frees up the offlaners a bit, I think, to get some space.
Yeah, I actually think that's why in a lot of the games we've been watching, I find that the offlaners are getting way more farm than I would expect, and it's really all levels. It's something where a lot of these...
bot lane, always want to fly.
Yeah, oh gosh, no, caught under tower. Isn't actually taking tower hits. Will he just be able to walk it off? Didn't have to walk back into tower. The rocket is up in 9 seconds, but it's level 1. It's only going to do 80 damage. So I think always want to fly. When you include magic resistance, he's fine.
Yeah,
But-
he actually was in tower range briefly inside the cog, and then he like moved to the other side of the cog and it stopped hitting him. It's pretty interesting. Really close.
But yeah, I wanted to say that I think a lot of these offlaners, Slaughter being a prime example, as is Dox here, Clockwork always has good lane control from level 1, but a lot of the rest of them, if they can hit level 2, they're good to go in the lane. And so I feel like, as you said, the supports not being present, it just makes offlaning a little easier.
Is under attack.
So, we didn't speak that much about it during the draft, but Kuro running this 4-position greedy Doom, I feel like that puts the pressure very squarely and directly on CIS rejects, because if everyone's just passive and accrues farm, clearly Liquid are going to be winning that economic game and getting a lead with 3 cores and the Doombringer. So I wonder if CIS rejects have a certain timing in mind. Maybe SF gets the mech, they group up, start getting towers or something like that. I don't think they can be happy to just trade farm.
I agree, and it's something where a 4-position Doom is really frustrating, right? He's a hero that's going to get farmed no matter what. With Devour, gets extra gold. And also, I mean, he could, depending on how the game goes, build up a Midas. It's similar to how the Kuro Batrider seems to find farm where it maybe shouldn't.
Look, we have seen one of the stats that's interesting. I think we were running it during, I don't know if Nox ran it in the major or if it was that DreamHack, but it was about how Doombringers with Midas actually have a much lower win rate than Doombringers without Midas. And there was a discussion in the professional community about this as well, and people were saying, if you understand how to farm with hero, you don't need the Midas. We still see some people getting it, but the concern is that, you know, the Midas could be your first item, it could be your Vlad, your Blink or something. You're meant to be having more of an impact. I do feel like, especially when you're in the 4 position, it's that much more greedy to go for the Midas. I mean, I don't want to make a guess about whether or not he'll do it, but I think, sort of statistically speaking, the argument would be that it's unnecessary, that he should rather just be active as soon as he can.
Yeah, and as you said, I think it depends a lot on player, but also game. There are games where I've definitely seen folks go for a Midas because they'd realize that they're not going to fight until a lot later on, and it pays off. And then, of course, there are those famous games where maybe your Slock goes for a Midas over the Shadowblade. As I say this, but engagement down bottom, mind control, one more auto attack, goodbye to him. So he is finally going to fall down there, but I think that's kind of the price of playing Clockwork. Sometimes you're up a little bit too far, and if it keeps happening, you can just cog block the creeps, you know, over here, and then be able to get your lane back in a position that you want. But as you were saying, I think with Midas, it really comes down to how late you think you're going to be team fighting and having all of those engagements, and we've seen, you know, I think Slog is the famous example. Sometimes not having your Shadow Blade up early enough, you get punished. Sometimes you're just fine because the game happened to go a bit later.
Yeah, the unique thing about Doom is that, I mean, for every hero, when you consider going Midas, you're thinking, is there anything I really need to get right now? Can I just get a Midas and keep, you know, scaling out of control? The unique thing with Doom is that he can kind of scale really quickly and get that farm and experience even without it. And so even if he's in a position where he doesn't need something else, sometimes I think there's an argument to just skip the Midas regardless. Just, you know, you're gonna get the farm no matter what. And actually he starts with the arcane boots here, so recognizing that he's utility, and this is something I like. A lot of the time, when heroes jungle, they treat themselves as greedy extra cores, and I think there's something nice about offsetting that and buying support items, playing a sort of actively support role, so that you're not just some extra farmer, you know that your role is still to be providing utility to your team.
Yeah, additionally, I just want to point out that the Ancient Apparition Always Wanna Fly did get very low, so then he suicided to creeps, managed to dodge a rocket as well, so well played. But as you said, it's always interesting to see. I feel like junglers have fallen off in Dota recently, and a lot of that seems to just be that your lanes get too weak without without actually 2 supports who can be dedicated to lane. And so, as you pointed out, giving the gyro a bit of mana, probably helping him up quite a bit. So. And as I say, the
Yeah.
Shadow Fiend takes quite a lot of damage in the mid lane. Will he be able to get that rune? Jerax may sneak it away from him. We'll see. Ooh.
Yeah, I feel like I was talking about the timing window for CIS rejects and how they might have pressure on them to get things done, but I actually feel like, it's gonna be Liquid that make the first move by the looks of it. Gyrocopter TPing to the spot lane, and Clock and Gyrocopter going for a kill. Doom's actually TPing down now as well.
It's an interesting timing. I really like it. Oh, goodness. We got a lot of engagements going on, though. Jerax, he's taking a lot of damage on the sidelines. Well, Mind Control, he's actually going to probably be going down instead of the Wraith King. And Wraith King has 2 lives. They're going for the AA, but a complete whiff on that cooldown. And at the same time, it looks like Shadow Fiend, he might be taking a tumble. But Slaughter, he has now entered the arena. Can he get off that Slithering Crush? The amp damage is up, and they throw 1 Wraithfire Blast. At the same time, on the side, oh, goodness, somehow Shadow Fiend has gotten away from the Razor, and it looks like they are diving Matumba Man. They have burned that first level 1 ult on the Wraith King, but they managed to get a kill, and that is massively in favor of CIS rejects.
Yeah,
Goodness,
it's
that was
kind
a
of
hectic
funny.
fight.
The Gyrocopter going down there, like Wraith King was charging at him with like 0 HP, essentially saying, please kill me, I want to add that extra slow so that we can dive you and finish you off. And you could see Matumba Man knew, and he was like, I don't know if I should take Wraith King's ulti, I'm gonna die. Eventually, just too tempting, thinks he can get away, doesn't get away. But
Yeah.
I think what you mentioned during the fight, cooldown whiffing, think of really, really significant in this early fight.
Additionally, the Wyvern, I think, wanted to come into that fight, did not realize that Iceberg and the Bane were wrapping around as well. There was 2 skirmishes. There was one there, which Fodder was involved in at the very end. And as I say this, it looks like we might have Always Wanna Fly be the victim of a huge rotation. But it was something where I think they were expecting the Wyvern to hook up with them, and it just didn't come. So Liquid really losing out on that team fight, but really good job. And it's still good, I think, to burn the Wraith King's ult early. Right now he's waiting almost 200 more seconds before he gets that back. And
They're
oh
hunting him.
goodness, yeah, they have hunted him successfully. Goodbye, Wraith King. Can he get the creep to deny him? No such luck. They have reinforcements coming in, but yeah, the TP cancelled from Slaughter. I don't think they're getting anything out of that. Kuro is still only level 5, so we'll see what he can do, but he might just wander around to be a real pain.
Yeah, killing the Wraith King a second time somewhat justifies Matumba Man going down in the previous fight. It's very important, I think, early on when Wraith King's ulti is level 1, whenever he doesn't have his ulti, you need to be targeting him. I think it's one of the weak points of the hero in the early game. But in the meantime, I find it interesting from when we watched Liquid the other day as well. I feel like getting the worst, just the worst off of early clashes quite often, like getting
Now,
outplayed in some of these early fights.
we're
But
gonna be
they're
seeing-
not going to get outplayed here.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy not to get outplayed when you're running down an Ancient Apparition with Arctic Burn and Boots on the Clockwork and Battery Assault, but as you said, it does feel like recently in the games we've been watching Liquid, they seem to need maybe a game to warm up, I guess I'd call it. I think there are definitely teams that need that. I don't know if you remember when OG started out, they were taking a lot of series 2-1. And it just
Losing
seemed,
game 1.
yeah, it just seems like they needed a game to warm up. And I think maybe the same could be true for Liquid. As the game progresses, their team fight seems to get infinitely better. Mind Control is goodbye. He actually does a really nice play. He tries to hook over onto Matumba Man, but no such luck today, and he goes down. So there is a slight lead coming out of CIS rejects, and even though the Wraith King has died once, I have to say, oh, Always Wanna Fly in the danger zone. I have to say, oh no, he's gonna walk right into the cooldown. The Cold Feet does manage to proc. He even drops an Ice Vortex, so Matumba Man realizing he cannot be that aggressive here. I was gonna say this slight lead for CIS rejects. Not only can one team fight turn it around, I do think it's a good start for Wraith King, obviously, but he needs a lot. And he is going Blade Mail first.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I see Kuro at the top lane is going back for that Midas now after starting with the Arcane Boots. There's not really anything else he could be buying with those gloves. And maybe that is the recognition that the pressure's on CIS rejects to make plays, and Liquid are going to be happy to sit back and react to them for a while, just get that farm up.
Yeah, and I don't think it's awful. It's actually really funny. I don't know the stats on it. I would love to see this, and it's something I might investigate in my own time since Dat Dota is super easy to use. Shout out to
Radiant's
Dat
bottom
Dota,
tower
folks.
is under attack.
But it's really interesting. I see a lot of heroes, a lot of Invoker players in professionals seem to go Orchid and then Midas, which I think is just oh yeah, I got the Orchid super early, here's my kill potential, but just in case that doesn't work, let's make sure we have a backup way to get sick levels, so.
Yeah. I'm a fan of that on almost any hero. There was a stage where pucks were going Rash Blink and then back into Midas, stuff like that. I mean, if the discussion about Midas is usually about there's nothing that you urgently need, so get the Midas as an investment, then it makes sense that getting a Midas after the thing that you urgently need is usually a respectable decision to make.
Yeah. I also just wanted to point out, we had talked about it during the draft and how it seems like a lot of the play from CIS Rejects depends on how well Iceberg does on this mid-hero. He has 84 lost hits, 11 minutes in, he's also 3-0. So he's had a good game, to say the least. And this ward, working overtime, they're going to see a lot of these rotations. The ult is back up on Wraith King, but he's only level 8. And as I say, this Ancient Apparition, he's getting a bit of damage out, but it's not going to be enough. And with the Cold Embrace, always want to fly, unable to keep damaging Mind Control, so he won't shatter. And no TP rotations, they just want to trade towers, albeit this thing is low.
Yeah, the top tower is not actually that low, so I wonder if Crew's gonna have some teammates rotate into the top lane. He's got his Doom up. Yeah, there comes the TP from Mind Control, and that should be enough actually to chase away the Shadow Fiend and the Slaughter.
Now, because they do have a Doom, I'm not sure who exactly is going to be... I mean, the Doom has built up Arcanes, not sure if that's indicating he plans on going for Mech, maybe Guardian Greaves, but they... I mean, the Razor hasn't... Oh, sorry, that was Doom. The Razor hasn't indicated either if he's going Sanjanyasha, Drums, Mech.
Radiant's middle tower.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. I think that you're probably right with the Arcanes on Doom. It's likely he'll go Mech because he can go into Greaves. Greaves is just that much value in this kind of game where Razor's not even capable of going into Greaves if he does go for the Mech. It's not, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much either way. But I think they'll like the fact that it opens up Razor into like more of a combat-oriented build.
I actually think it's also really important here because there's so much minus armor on the deck. I mean, we have Presence of the Dark Lord, that's up to 6 minus armor. We've got Amp Damage, up to 20 minus armor. When Guardian Greaves gives you plus 15 armor if you're below 20% health, I think that could turn around a team fight here. But it will, even with Midas and Devour, take Doom a while to rush, and as you mentioned, we're still not sure. Razor's saving up a lot of gold. Could just be, maybe Fodder's like, guys, I like to buy my items complete. I want to buy either the full Mech or the full Sanj or something. But, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what comes out. And Jerax being a bit of a pain, stopping Gold Black from stacking up if that's what he wanted to do.
So it's actually an increasingly popular approach recently in professional games for what Jerax goes down to
nice
a
Ice Blast.
But this save your gold until you have the full item thing. I've seen a lot of people do it recently, like even with full like S and Ys, just save to 4k. I guess part of the reasoning is that the enemy team doesn't get that information. They don't know what to play around. In the meantime, it looks like Matumbaman made a solo kill and always want to fly at the bot lane.
At the same time, they might turn it around. Mind Control, just look at how much damage he takes. I mean, auto attacks, Presence of the Dark Lord, amp damage. You did not want to be caught in the prison with the Slaughter. And there he goes down. Poor Mind Control.
That's the introduction of Afterlife's Blink Dagger, right?
Yeah, also just Mind Control's been playing really far up. He is in full catch-up mode. I mean, you can see he is 7th on that net worth. It's 2 AM here. Forgive me for being unable to count. But he is having a really rough time on this clockwork. He is rocking an urn. I mean, it's 14 minutes in, and their team has 2 tier 1s, so...
It is, I would say it's part of the reason they feel comfortable going for the 4-position Doom. When you have a off-lane clockwork, it's actually very common for one of your supports to become more farmed in the clock. And so I think just saying, well, why not just like have that hero that actually farms the jungle, and instead of like one of our supports gets farm every now and then, we'll have a farming support. Because clockwork, it's not really part of his job description to get a lot of farm.
Ooh, Afterlife with the on-point blink, albeit he had a little bit of vision there. It is nighttime though, so I'm still gonna be impressed. And gonna get away with his life. Now Iceberg being forced to rotate out. He does have the Sanjanyasha active. This guy is tanky. A little under 1500 under 1500 health with those boots on strength. But we're gonna have initiation. They also started that with a smoke. They have an AA blast. It's gonna hit Mind Control. They need more auto attack damage. He ends up hookshotting over. And that was really weird. I didn't know that would stun, but we're going to be seeing a Winter's Curse and Gold Black. Goodbye. They even expend the Doom. I'm really surprised by that. We have the Blade Mail active. I don't think it's going to return enough damage here, and I think they might even have to stop, but Afterlife decides to go in again. He gets a good Slithering Crush off. They know they're fighting and not having to worry about the Doom, but of course, things like A Blast being on cooldown and no Bane for the easy Fiend's Grip initiation makes it a little bit tough of an engagement.
Yeah, Fada split pushing in the meantime, and actually I think the reason CIS Rejects went for that fight is because they saw Fada TP out. He started farming creeps to the top lane. They thought, we're 5v4, let's just go in. But they unfortunately ran into like a very awkward position where Winter Wyvern could catch them all in a curse as they poke their head through the trees, and that's why they end up behind in that exchange.
I also think it's odd to have your Bane initiating... Oh, did he do... Okay, he did let the Ice Blast land. It's a bit weird from the standpoint of... They could have had Slaughter go for the jump, and Bane just really trying to get into position to get something done, not able to. I also have to say I love these wards by Liquid. They're doing all they can to make sure that they have opportunities to burn this ult on Wraith King.
Yeah, and Wraith King actually now, I mean, his farm wasn't that bad this game, but he's behind, he's 5th actually in net worth. And with that first item Blade Mail, it only really gives him value if he's able to like get into the thick of things and force people to attack him, deal damage to him. So for that, he probably needs the Blink Dagger as well on top of it. Sometimes we see Wraith King save all the way up to Radiance after Blade Mail, but I think he might need the Blade Mail to be relevant in fights.
Yeah, I
mean,
wouldn't...
the Blink, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need the Blink. It's something where it's always a really rough choice. Do you go Blink first? Do you go Blade Mail? Or as you said, do you go Radiance? Because of course that one keeps you farming. And now that it's changed to an... The aura has added a miss chance. I think it's really fantastic. Unfortunately, this game, there's a lot of damage that, of course, coming out of Gyrocopter is magical. Razor's ult doesn't care about your miss chance, I believe, so it's rough.
Yeah, my question is just about, I mean, if we still go on the view that CIS rejects have more pressure on them because there's going to be extra scaling on Liquid, I mean, it's not really that clear to me that's actually the case. Playing devil's advocate, I think CIS rejects could definitely win this game in very late game, but I think the dynamic in your head at least is they've got a jungler, we need to put pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think within that dynamic, I'd expect Wraith King to be going for that Blink Dagger and not saving all the way to the Radiance now.
Something
because he wants to force value out of his Blade Mail.
Yeah. Something I also have to say, they've got Iceberg. He's gone for Sanj and Yosh and now working on that BKB. There's a different build for Iceberg. Of course, he also isn't going mech, but he can go for this kind of raw damage output, and I think they need it on their Shadow Fiend. I'm not sure who's going to be their mech carrier then. I mean, AA can make a super late one. He's almost got that Midas. Oh, okay. Level 11 is up on the Wraith King, but there's going to be a nice hook shot onto the SF. But Mind Control, he's being melted by SF. This was not what he intended. There's going to be an AA blast. It is going to knock over 2, but it's not going to do enough damage. Doom out onto Iceberg, and if they can catch up to him, which with the Scorch Dot seems very likely, they might be able to rip through him. At the same time, Wraith King, he's in a lot of trouble being caught out on the side. He's going to walk it off, but Doom, oh goodness, Iceberg, you need to find a way out and quickly, but a TP might just be it. Oh goodness, he's going to go for the Requiem of Souls on top of Matamba Man. A couple more auto attacks should do it. Oh, they managed to pick him off quickly, but the rest of the team is coming up. Kuro, of course, doesn't have that Doom. Afterlife is just going to slither away. TP out from Iceberg. Slithering Crush. He may just, yeah, he's just going to walk it off. That was a beautiful play out of Iceberg, I have to say. I expected the right choice to be to TP out, but he got to kill him a Tumba Man, and that's fantastic.
I think, I mean, I want to slightly disagree because I think that it's a mistake for Matumba Man to run into that position. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he hadn't seen SF in a while and thought he'd be lower from the Doom than he actually was, but it didn't even matter how low he was, effectively. If you're chasing a Shadow Fiend up a hill into Fog, I think you need to worry about the Requiem as a possibility.
Yeah. That's definitely very true, and as you said, it may have just been a thing, but they thought they didn't quite estimate the Doom timer. So, I also want to point out our net worth chart is in favor of Liquid, kind of what I was expecting at least, with Doom going Midas and having Devour. At the same time, Experience is in favor of CIS rejects, although I think everybody, yeah, everybody has their level 6 already. I mean, it's 19 minutes in, you'd hope that's the case, but sometimes with these roaming supports, it's not.
Yeah, so I mean, we talk a lot about the farm, and A has also picked up a Midas now, which is going to kind of secure that scalability for his team for the late game. But honestly, I feel like, I mean, I end up saying this a lot these days, but I feel like the games in the current metagame are usually just dictated a lot more by a few big fights around about this stage of the game. And I think that that's probably going to be the case here too. I think that if we do see a few clashes in the next 5-10 minutes, the team that's coming out on top of those clashes will probably be the team that goes into the late game ahead, regardless of the level of farm.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I do think these team fights have a great potential to be exciting. A lot of it's going to come down to who Kuro decides to Doom, but I think CIS Rejects did a good job in the draft making sure they picked up a few different excellent Doom targets. I mean, I think it's famously said, the way you handle a Doom is you pick 3 cores. because you can't doom them all, even with a refresher. Now, they do have the problem that if Doom dooms both the Wraith King and the SF, you know, this is talking super late game, if he has a refresher, and the Smoke Gank is going to latch onto Doom at the same time we have initiation onto Doom. We've got Wraith King, he has a secondary, oh no, he has to wait 7 more seconds, he's going to go down before he has that second life, or is he? Nightmare saving him up, there's going to be a Winter's Curse on Iceberg, but still, this doesn't help you take down the Wraith King, and there's his second life. We also have Clockwork, he ends up going over to the side with that hookshot and a big Requiem of Souls, killing off a lot of folks. Matumba Man's gonna go down by the looks of it in Kuroki. He does have Doom, but Iceberg, he may just stand there and fight because he has got a lot of health. He's actually gonna back out a little bit. Ramses has to be careful here because he doesn't have a secondary life, but look at the melt through mind control, and Kuro may be next. They actually kill off the Wraith King, but Iceberg, he has no chill. He's going in. There's gonna be an amp damage. There's gonna be a Slithering Crush, and one more auto attack will do it. They dismantled that team fight from CIS Rejects, and I really don't think that they should have been able to.
Yeah, what did we say at the start of the draft? That the game is going to depend on if Iceberg's successful or not, and well, he's got like a 20 minutes, so CS Reject's looking good.
A dieback from Kuro. I didn't even... I guess I caught that, but he went down very early on in the fight, isolated over here, and they just weren't able to take out the Wraith King. I think not realizing that he was literally right on the edge of his secondary life.
Yeah, it's one of the downsides.
Okay, they miss out on the jump on top. Sorry, you were saying.
It's one of the downsides of Doom actually being this hero that goes for Arcanes and Mech and the Midas. He doesn't have a blink, and that means you can't guarantee he gets his Doom off. And that's what happens, that he gets caught out, doesn't get to Doom anything before he dies, and has to buy back, because otherwise he's just not contributed to the fight.
It's actually really interesting. Doom Mech used to be something... Oh, sorry, Blink, as I say, this Gold Black taking quite a bit of damage. He has to use that sap. Oh, he doesn't go for the brain sap. They should have Matumba Man dead to rights, though, and this is a dangerous gank. He was way too close to towers. Gonna explode. Not worth it for him. So, Bane, unfortunately, goes down, but probably okay with that exchange. I think it's really interesting. We've actually been seeing Doom, as you mentioned, go utility items over that initiation. That's either the Blink or the Shadow Blade. Of course, Shadow Blade, if you're up against things like Quap or Ember Spirit, you sometimes see that on the Doom. And it does mean he sometimes gets picked off in these fights first. I have to say, I do really like the utility teamfight Doom. It's just not working out for them here. They are now quite a bit behind on net worth because of that lost team fight for Liquid, and also they're falling really far behind on the experience. We're going to be seeing heroes. I mean, part of this is AA had a relatively early Midas. Oh, and as I speak of AA, he may be taking a tumble. But I mean, this AA, he's gonna have level 11. This is a huge upgrade for his ult. He's a quarter of the way to that Aghanims, which of course makes the ult a real pain to fight into. It's looking rough for Liquid.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about Iceberg and his Shadow Fiend is, I always say that, well, there's actually, no, it looked like there was aggression, but there isn't. I always say that, yeah, teams that like to play around one player, Shadow Fiend's usually the hero not to give them, because it's like by far the best hero to lane in that mid lane and then just like center your entire draft and fighting plan around it. I don't, it's not clear to me that CIS Rejects actually actively do anything like that. Iceberg, like, it seems that their game plan seems to center on him a lot of the time, but it's not like they've picked a Dazzle to keep him alive or an Abaddon to keep him alive or anything like that. They just kind of like do their own thing and he makes plays, and to me it makes it slightly more impressive than, for example, when OG or 4CL someone play around Pycat or Miracle, and it's very, very clear the steps they're taking to make sure that the Shadow Fiend gets the game he wants. I think that Iceberg gets a lot of his own credits in this game, to be honest.
Yeah, and speaking of own credit, Afterlife looking for that solo takedown on Mind Control again. Mind Control has put himself in the prison, but Afterlife, he can't do any damage in that cold embrace, and the TP rotation saving him. It is always super risky to go for a kill when a tier 1 is still active, and he was so close, but...
Wow, Iceberg's about to get an entire Scotty.
Yeah, that's
like just the Orb of Venom.
Yeah, it's just Shadow Fiend things. I mean, I have to say, while Liquid, they're still doing a great job. Look at these deep wards. Let's take a look at Liquid's vision. I mean, it's super made for trying to catch out people greedily farming, and they're just not getting kills, I think, on the heroes that they want to find. 7.5k experience lead. That is really fantastic. Yeah, but Iceberg, he's in a little bit of a bad spot. He doesn't have any backup Winter's Curse. He's going down. I don't see a good way out here, even with that BKB, and that is a huge kill. That was his Beyond Godlike. So just as we were saying...
Gold for Fatsa.
Yeah. and a big gold swing, and easy Roshan after this. They have more than enough damage at this point, and without the Shadow Fiend up, contesting is rough. They do have great Roshan pit fight. It's something where I think if they can land an AA blast on all of them and a slithering crush, they should be able to contest this, but it's really rough because as we can see, Clockwork is playing around. Nobody's getting low, so this AA blast, yeah, they're even gonna move 2 people out of it. Oh.
Yeah, the downside of what well, this is a Fiend's Grip and this is dead Clockwork.
Mind Control. I'm not sure if they can keep going to contest it. This Roshan's really low. They are moving into the pit. They're not going to have AA Blast up. Are they going to fight right into an Aegis? It does look like it's Slithering Crush. A little too late, and now Afterlife taking a lot of damage in that sprint. They're trying to kill off the Wyvern first. They managed to get the Brain Sap off. There's going to be a cooldown. Ramses, he does have 2 lives coming out, but fodder. Okay, it looks like they actually got a decent trade there, I would argue, for the lineup of CIS rejects. They got in, they got out. Of course, they did lose the Roshan, but picking up 2 heroes on the back of it.
Yeah, recognizing that maybe Liquid were into the position they wanted to be in to fight. Some of the heroes were low, Clockwork was already dead, and they can get some kind of trade at least after losing the rush. But I want to go back to that Shadow Fiend pick-off because I was just talking about how sure, the team's success depends on him, but they don't really play around him in direct sense. They don't have heroes standing covering him all the time. And one of the downsides of that approach is that when the enemy team 5-man smokes onto you, you actually are going to die in this game. It's very rare that we see Iceberg just with, I don't know, Slaughter or Wraith King or even Bane Elemental standing around covering him.
Yeah. Now, on that note, Wraith King, he's gone for something. I find this really interesting. We see it picked up a lot against the Wyvern. Partly this Maelstrom, I think, a bit of a farming tool just to make sure you keep up. And all speaking of it, he just casually throws in the stun. There's going to be a Winter's Curse turnaround, though. A big AA blast. It does add the debuff, so if they can get fought low enough, he'll shatter. But they're taking too much damage, and with Matumba Man in this second life from Wraith King, he needs backup. But here it comes in the form of Iceberg. He's going to pop that ult, and if he manages to get off his Requiem of Souls, Matumba Man, you're looking to melt. He actually hasn't finished him off yet. That's going to be 1 life. He goes for the Razor. He can't quite catch Jerax. Just kill the tower. There's going to be folks TPing in as well, and now that is the doom. Iceberg in a lot of trouble. Gold Black gonna go down. Iceberg trying to walk it off. He's a little bit fast, of course, having that Yasha, and if he can outrange them, and he can maybe even force a turnaround, but he doesn't have any sort of lifesteal, so this is really hard, and there's a lot of magic damage. Oh, Kuro going for the body blocks. He also has that little bit of speed up. There's gonna be the slow coming out. Always want to fly, actually, landing a really nice Ice Blast. I actually think Matumba Man can turn around. He goes for one. He's taking a lot of damage, but he's super tanky on Iceberg, and Matumba Man, he's gonna end up falling, and now they can turn around onto Kuroki. He no longer has that Scorched Earth. Goodbye, Doom, OP, dead man. Yeah, we go. He manages to finish him off before his Wanna Fly goes down. Really well played from those two. And I'd say the positioning on Always Want to Fly, a lot of this game, he's been landing really great Ice Blast or Rocket. I don't think it'll be enough, and also Always Want to Fly isn't there. Hook shot onto Iceberg, though. You're never going to get a chance to talk Scant, because we got weird action. He's actually trying to eat his way through the cogs, knowing that there is a Blade Mail, but this is an Urn as well on him. Oh, goodness, he doesn't have any... Oh, he has BKB, but he can turn, but he doesn't have very much health. And I think if he can fill up his bottle, oh, if he takes a rocket to the face as the BKB wears out, no, he's going to be not quite over the threshold. Where is the rocket that's coming in? Okay, it's gonna miss. Holy, Hannah is what I wanted to say. Forced off as well. He looks to be, oh gosh, he's gonna TP out. Can he do it though? Wyvern, oh, there, oh! Okay, that was an interaction. He's gonna be fine. I didn't know that that would act like that, and Jerax should be fine here as well.
Well, here comes the air ulti. It depends how long he sticks around. If it hits him, he'll die.
Do you think it's only a level 2? No, he's gonna end up 1 being fine. I did not know that, oh. Okay, Afterlife, you are seen. Oh, nice 4-stuff out. Okay, finally you get a chance to talk. I think we're done. We're done. I'm just gonna stop casting the team fight. I was gonna say I didn't know Winter's Curse. You could like TP have it effect after.
I think actually most spells have that possibility, but it has to be like pretty exact timing. So I've seen it happen on various spells in the past. But yeah, I wanted to say that we talked about how Shadow Fiend can die when 5 heroes smoke onto him. He's not going to die in many other circumstances. In that fight, it was just 2 heroes chasing after him and ends up turning around and killing both of them. And I think that that's, if you just look at the net worth in the game, if you look at the items on Iceberg, that's what's going to keep happening. Liquid need to recognize that when they did kill the Shadow Fiend, it's precisely because they were 5v1 and they were able to just focus him down. And it's really not that easy for them to deal with the Shadow Fiend if they can't focus the Shadow Fiend with pretty much their entire squadron.
Additionally, he's working on that butterfly, and we've got AA picking up that Aghanims because of surviving that last team fight. So suddenly these team fights for Liquid just get a little bit harder. when the AA's a bit further behind, which is usually his state, you know, he's usually a bit of a poorer support, even though he can get up a Midas. And as I say this, I imagine they have to be rotating to gank Wraith King, yeah. So normally AA, he has a bit of trouble getting that Midas, getting some other items. Oh, he's gonna blink away. He's gonna be fine as I say that. He gets a hook shot onto him. He does have Blade Mail, of course. He's gonna try to eat his way through the cogs. He does have 2 lives. Can he get some sort of backup in time? But there's only 1 TP out, and he may just be forfeiting his life. His blink was on cooldown. AA Blast is gonna hit. There's gonna be a cooldown as well, though, and the AA Blast not that fantastic. Ramses is dead, but Doom is expended, and they're TPing in a few people to see what they can do. We see a Requiem of Souls really off point. It does hit the debuff onto a few people. He's gonna slow them down. Mind Control in that Cold Embrace, and once again, Iceberg, he's trying to fight. He needs to get out of the grip from Fodder. There's gonna be Fiend's Grip onto Fodder. A leash is gonna give him quite a bit of damage, and again, another strange Winter's Curse, but Afterlife, he's gone into deep. He's trying for the TP out. No such luck, and finally a team fight is going Liquid's way. Iceberg, he's still in the danger zone. A lot of slows coming out. Another AA Blast. Can Iceberg get people low enough, though? And Fodder, he doesn't have the debuff on him. Matumba Man does, but it's not gonna tick out enough, I think. And Kuro, he blinks forwards. Always want to fly, taking a lot of damage. Level Death gonna finish him off.
Yeah, a wipe, 5-0, and mostly I think Iceberg wasn't there at the start of the fight, and his early contribution, he kind of ran down through the jungle, and he tried to catch Fata with the Requiem as Fata came around the corner, but Fata spotted him, turned back, and it was essentially a waste of the Requiem, but more importantly than the waste of the Requiem, it's a waste of time, I think, where Iceberg needs to be at the fight, because I've been talking the whole time about how difficult he is to contain, but the flip side of that is when he's not there, his team is very little. Like, if we look at the net worth graph at the moment, it's dead even, and if you consider that Iceberg is 20,000 gold, almost like, yeah, close to half of his team's net worth, they're very clearly not going to win fights when he's not involved.
Yeah, him not right-clicking heroes there, I agree, did a lot of work. Oh, we have an initiation coming out from the Wraith King. He, of course, doesn't have a second... Oh, he does have it back up, I lied. We're going to have a little bit of a Blade Mail action. He doesn't want to lose it here unless they get something out of it. So I was a little bit surprised he went in on that. We're going to have Ice Blast should hit on a few, but it's just going to bother Kuroki more than anything. Not high enough level to kill him, so... Either way, as you pointed out, now we're going to be seeing a gold swing in favor of Liquid. One bad team fight, they take your base. Pretty standard stuff, and I agree with you. I mean, a lot of these heroes, they're not nearly as farmed as the Shadow Fiend, who's rocking 650 GPM. They're still getting a lot of work done.
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends entirely on how much time is spent in the fight Iceberg doing things, and how much time is there where he's contained and not doing things. And in the last fights, he did almost nothing. He, couldn't attack people when they had Blade Mail on. He couldn't attack people when they were being healed by the Winter Wyvern. He wasn't there right at the start. He was far away. So his contribution just did not mirror at all his farm. And I think CIS Rejects still probably look fine, even though they've gone behind now on net worth. If they take it to the next fight, and Iceberg's like very involved, and they're the ones controlling the fight.
Yeah, it's also something where we're at the state in the game where if any team manages to team wipe the opposing team, you just take their buildings very quickly. People are hitting for a lot now. I also did want to point out, though, that Iceberg, we're 33 minutes in, he already has a 5-second BKB. This is kind of one of the downsides of being super farmed or picking up that BKB early. I do think it was necessary here, but it's really rough because there are a lot of spells that go through BKB, and also since it's a 5-second one now, Wyvern, of course, has a gem. At the same time, AA had picked up a gem for his team, so we're going to be seeing a lot of D-wards going down, or a lot of D-wards occurring. I think it's really rough when you're against someone like the Gyro who does a lot of magical damage, like Doom or Wyvern, who also have a lot that they output, and your BKB is 5 seconds.
Yep. So AA ulti's coming into Scout Rush. They're gonna actually all dodge it, and I wonder if they go back in now. Looks like they probably do. Something that I've talked about in the past that I haven't mentioned recently, but very relevant in this game. I mentioned how Iceberg doesn't have that like support cost while they're actually going into the fight. I might not be able to finish my point right now. Let's see.
I don't think they'll make it in time. They all smoked up. That's going to move them faster, but Roshan very quickly, they actually begin the initiation onto the Wraith King coming out from Liquid, and Wraith King, he's looking to go down, but he is turning it around. They've already killed off Clock. The Aegis ends up going to Gyrocopter, and we have a messy fight. Iceberg, he's using that BKB, but he's had a lot of damage stolen. 200 damage stolen. How on earth do they fight? Bane goes down as Matamba Man, nothing's gonna stop him with that BKB active, and Wraith King, oh no, he's gonna burn his second life, and Iceberg still has minus 200 damage. He can't turn around and fight. A Blast does come out, but he melts immediately to fodder. Gem is on the deck. I hear a Winter's Curse coming out onto Iceberg. He's gonna try to just TP away, and that was another lost team fight. And I have to say, I think a lot of that being Wraith King wasn't smoked with them, and they just got the easy initiation on him, and then they were forced to not go for the Roshan play. They had to go fight where Wraith King was.
Yeah, I think there's the point I actually wanted to start making before the fight broke out. I think there's something to be said for the amount of utility, especially in terms of items, that's on the side of Liquid. It's the kind of, I mentioned earlier how not really much conscious attempt to help Iceberg. We don't see Solar Crest, Force Staff, Mech, Glimmer Cape. I mean, there's a Force and Slaughter and that's it. Compared to the other side, Crow's got Guardian Greaves, Winter Wyvern's got Force Staff and Glimmer Cape. There's a Force Staff and Clockwork. So
oh, it's gonna be a big Slithering Crush. I don't know how they actually fight here. They're just going for the auto attacks on Iceberg. The Doom is down for another 44 seconds, so they can try something, but of course there will be a call down coming soon if they're not careful. And still no lifesteal on Shadow Fiend. He just can't sustain here. Minus 70 damage on him. Afterlife. Plasma Field just gonna rip right through him, and if they find Gold Black. But I think, unfortunately, this is just going to be another set of racks, and now CIS Rejects' chances are looking slimmer and slimmer. We're going to be a Wraith by a Blast, seeing if they can initiate anything. A nice A Blast! Oh, everybody manages to get out of it! What I thought was going to be so nice, but it just took too long to land. Ramsey's looking like the Wraith King is going to fall once again. Level Death, making sure that he's in a lot of trouble. Iceberg gets hookshotted in. He immediately pops that BKB, but he's having all of his damage stolen. 105 onto fodder again. Iceberg taking a lot. Wraith King is down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the GGs. There we go.
Yeah, so just to complete my thoughts as the game ends, I think that very often these games are determined by team fights, and I think very often team fights are determined by control and utility more than damage. The lead that CIS Rejects had all game was a damage lead. Iceberg was really big, could dish out a lot of damage, but they never really had that utility of the multiple Force Staffs, Glimmer Cape, Greaves, that kind of stuff, and I think it works against them in the end.
Yeah. So once again, folks, thank you so much for all watching. It's a Star Ladder action. I've been joined by Scant. You can show him some love on Twitter. Here's his handle. I'm Llama Down Under. I'm also on Twitter. Please feel free to give us any and all feedback. We'd love to get better at casting. So yeah, shoot that to us, and we'll try to get you into Game 2 right quick. Hopefully we'll get to see a Game 3. Who knows? We've got a few words from the Star Ladder sponsors first. So see you guys shortly.